Hello, good evening and a very warm welcome to the Hot Seat and the first program of the new year 2017. So let me wish you all a very happy and peaceful new year, a new year in which we will see greater accountability, even more transparency and a return to good, solid values. On that note, it's a great pleasure to welcome our first guest for 2017, the news editor of the Island newspaper, Mr. Shamindra Ferdinando. Very good evening to you.
Good evening to you, Faraz.
And it's wonderful to have you here. And we wish you and your colleagues at that wonderful Island paper all the very best for the new year.
Thank you.
And we hope that you will continue writing on issues that are close to the heart and minds of the people. And on that note, as we start this new year, time perhaps to cast our minds back and to see what has been achieved since January 2015.
For us, this government, Yahapalana government, we call it Yahapalana government, came into power on a platform of good governance and accountability, promising to find those people who had robbed this country.
Yeah.
Right. So by next week, it will be completing 2 years. 2 years in power.
Right.
And during this period, in addition to the corrupt deals committed by the previous government, this government has committed the central bank fraud, a massive one.
Yes.
So up to now, they have not taken any action against those who are responsible for the central bank fraud. It's a huge fraud. So I must tell you, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. If you see, for us, this government brought in 19th Amendment to the Constitution. We were told, the people were told, that with the introduction of the 19th Amendment, things will change.
Has it?
No.
It hasn't changed.
It has not changed, because those who work for the Yahapalana rulers, who help the UNP-led coalition to defeat the former President Rajapaksa, they accuse this government of failing to stop corruption. Now, recently, I know Rajit Kirtitennakon.
Yeah.
He wrote to President Sirisena requesting him to cancel the coal deal.
Yeah.
Right. So, you see, the people who brought President Sirisena into power and helped Mr. Wickramasinghe to form government in August 2015, they are complaining. They are complaining. So there's a huge issue. There's a huge issue. So I think.
So what is in a roundup? What are you saying? We haven't achieved much.
No, I must tell you now. Now, see now, after being in power for two years, completing next week. Now, the government says that it has reached an agreement with a US private firm to help independent commissions, the parliament and the ministries to reform. So, I mean, do we need advice from a private US enterprise to reform this country?
It doesn't say much. It doesn't say much for what we've done since 1948.
That's the thing. So I think people are surprised. People are surprised, although the US government will be spending 1.92 billion rupees on this project. I feel the government should explain whether the 19th Amendment has failed, because see, this US assistance, this project is primarily mainly to help the commissions. So the commissions set up under the 19th Amendment.
Yeah.
So, I believe the Parliament should be able to do it without any outside assistance.
So, in your view, it is wholly unnecessary?
Certainly, not necessary. I think we should be able to, to take remedial action.
So, we should be the captains of our own destiny?
Certainly. Certainly. I mean, we'll see. Do we need foreign advice to reform the commissions, to help the Parliament and various other ministries? And now we checked with the US Embassy.
Yeah.
I personally checked with the US Embassy. So they say that similar projects are implemented in Burma, Colombia, and altogether about 20 countries, I think.
Yeah.
So I think we don't need such assistance.
So it appears that Sri Lanka, by this project, by this company, American company DAI, is sort of lumping Sri Lanka in with these other countries where there are various other challenging issues.
Yes,
and to discuss more about that, we'll be doing that with Mr. Shamindra Ferdinando just after this short break. Don't go away. After all, this is the Hot Seat. Hello, good evening, and welcome back to the Hot Seat. In the Hot Seat tonight, the first show for 2017, we have the news editor of the Island newspaper, Mr. Shamindra Ferdinando. Mr. Fernando, again, thank you very much for being on Newsline. I beg your pardon, thank you very much for being on Hot Seat, but you also come on Newsline, which broadcasts 7 to 7:30, Monday to Friday, in the morning, that is. But I just want to go back to this contract that has been apparently awarded to DAI, a private American company. Now, it's astonishing that so many years after independence and 2 years into this government that claimed to know what they were doing and convinced the public, convinced the Republic actually, that they did indeed know what they were doing and have been in power. 2 years later, we are greeted with the news that a private company has been given a contract to try and help us with independent commissions and transparency and accountability and good governance. So, does it follow that they have done nothing in this first 2 years?
So obviously they have failed. So because they have failed, the US government has offered this item, that's why, because the agreement between the government of Sri Lanka, actually for us the agreement was between the Parliament and the US.
Yes.
On behalf of Sri Lanka, the Honorable Speaker signed the agreement.
Indeed.
Last September. There was a delegation from Colombo. State Minister Dr. Sudashini Fernando Pulle, then Deputy Media Minister Karu Parnavitana, and I think Minister Ajit P. Pereira.
Can I ask you this? They say that this was done sometime in September last year.
Yes.
Was your newspaper privy to this?
Actually, the Parliament issued a statement on it.
At that time?
At that time.
Yes.
Yes. But of course they did not refer to this DAI.
The company?
Yes.
Right.
Subsequently, we raised the issue with the US Embassy.
Yeah.
The US Embassy revealed the name of the company.
Right. But I see. And this company has been involved in various shall we say, troublesome spots around the world.
Yes.
And in one country, which is in South America, Venezuela, a journalist has written a book, which is available on the net and in all the better bookstores of the world. And there's an astonishing claim there that this company has links or has some form of connection to the American Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA.
Yes.
As a journalist, does it bother you that this company, with alleged links to the CIA, that they have got a almost front door entry to the heart and soul of our democracy, to our parliament?
I cannot comment on that allegation, Faraz, because
No,
I
I'm
really
not.
don't know.
Yes.
But I must tell you, there is no requirement for foreign advice in this regard.
Why do we need foreign advice?
That's the thing. But I must tell you, the joint opposition or the JVP have not raised this issue. Now see, if you see the composition of the delegation to America to sign this agreement, it comprised SLFP and UNP ministers.
Yes. Then the national government is the SLFP and the UNP.
The joint opposition has not raised this issue.
Right.
Actually, I think the former Foreign Affairs Minister, Professor Pires, referred to the island report yesterday. But I think they should take it up with the Sri Lankan government.
But isn't this part of the problem of having a robust democracy? And isn't that why we have a problem with democracy in this country? Because the opposition of the day isn't doing its role. Government doesn't comprise only of the ruling side. For a proper democracy to work, I think any student of government will agree that we need to have a functioning opposition.
Yes, certainly.
So if in the past, when this government was in the opposition, when Mr. Wickremesinghe was in the opposition, he knows all about it because he's been in the opposition for so long. But
how many years?
The way I remember it, it is the last time was 2002-03, and so say 4, and so from 4 to 15 is 11 years. 11 years out of mainstream politics. Seated as the leader of the opposition, and in various contentious bills. Sometimes the UNP didn't actually play a role in it. They simply walked out of Parliament, whereas they ought to have remained in there and made sure that their objections were listed, at least for the record.
Yes.
But they seem to have given up the game and handed over the Rajapaksa administration at the time a mere walkover.
I don't think so, Faraz.
Really?
Yes.
What did they do in opposition then?
I mean, now see, the former president recently declared that he would topple the government this year.
But that is, he's almost expected to say that. We don't know if anyone is going to believe him, but you know, he's almost expected to say that.
But no elections next year.
Right.
Or this year, so there's no way of this government getting defeated. No way. I believe this government will continue until 2020.
I was about to say to you, Shamindra, what is, if we were to write an article today, datelined January 2020, will there be a change of government then?
Hard to say for us. Hard to say. It all depends whether the SLFP factions can get together.
Right.
I don't think so. At the moment, I don't think the former president, come into some sort of arrangement with the SLFP. Not at the moment.
Now, because we were discussing the record, so to speak, the report card for the last 2 years, but before we embark on that after our next break, I just wanted to point out to you that when our reporters from Newsfirst contacted the ambassador in Washington by telephone, he referred the question back on this issue of this contract given to this private company. The ambassador referred the question back to the Secretary General of Parliament, indicating that he gave an impression that he didn't know anything about it, or that he was left out. Could that be possible?
It's not possible for us, because on the day they signed the agreement in Washington, Mr. Prasad Karyavasan was present, and the island carried a picture a photograph of Mr. Karyavasam with Secretary General of Parliament, Honorable Speaker, Dr. Sudashini Fernandopulle, and some US officials. So that picture was issued by the US Embassy, and we published it.
Did you check the authenticity of the photograph?
Why should I do that? It's
Because
issued by the US Embassy.
I see, okay, there was no need to fact check that then.
Certainly
So,
not.
no, I was just imagining that perhaps somebody played around with the photograph in this day and age, you know.
But not this photograph.
Not
it was
this
issued.
So therefore, there's no gainsaying that the ambassador didn't know anything about it when he was actually part. Perhaps what he meant was that he didn't sign the agreement.
Perhaps for us, the ambassador was not aware that the US was going to give this contract to these people. Most probably he felt, I mean, it was an agreement between the US government and the government of Sri Lanka.
Or do you think he felt that this is a home and home game?
I don't know. I think you should
Are the
contact him
questions
again.
getting tougher?
To me?
Yes?
No,
No,
certainly not.
not at
Certainly
all.
not.
Right.
I think you should pose that question to Mr. Karyavasam again. You must ask him.
We will.
You must email that photograph to him and ask him to explain.
Indeed.
Yes.
Right. There you go. There's some work for our reporters.
Perhaps
of
you
the-
can ask Dr. Fernandopulle. She was also there, seated next to Mr. Karu Jayasuriya.
Yes, yes. Now then, so there you are, once more, yet another matter in which there seems to be some form of suspicion, and it's not the media merely getting excited about it.
Yeah, it's as far as it's a very interesting situation. Now see, so we need advice from US to reform this country, the
Yeah.
public sector, and we need advice from the UN to on accountability issues.
Yeah.
So we have a huge parliament. The speaker recently, I think last year he said that they spent
4.5 million.
Yes.
Per day,
A day.
cost of
Yes.
Parliament.
So why we have a parliament, we have provincial councils, we have LG system, but still we need advice from various people overseas.
Even if Parliament only sat for 120 days in the year, you're coming up to over 500 million rupees. Not to be sneezed at.
So in addition to that, they receive duty-free car permits.
That's it. Duty-free car permits,
permits,
housing
which,
allowances, telephone allowances,
which they sell.
food allowances,
And
secretarial allowance.
recently I saw you on, I think, in the morning's program with Minister,
Chandrajaya?
no, the Muslim minister, gentleman,
Mr. Azad Saleh?
no, I can't remember. Provincial Council,
Oh yes, Mr. Mujibur Rahman.
no, he's not.
No, he's minister, he's MP.
Who is the other minister you interviewed recently? I can't remember. Faisal.
Faisal Mustafa, indeed.
When you posed a question to him, Faisal admitted that the members get
A special
loan,
interest rate.
bank.
Yeah, loan.
To buy that duty-free car. just imagine. So they are a lucky lot, certainly lucky lot. Whereas the people are forced
Do
to
you
pay
think-
higher taxes. Yes.
Do you think that they're lucky because they only have to go and visit their customers once every election time?
No, that also depends for us now. In this system, even rejected candidates can come back into parliament. So, it's a I don't think we'll find a similar system in any part of the world. A rejected candidate.
There you are. You heard it first on the hot seat. This is an amazing country, and we are proud to be Sri Lankan. We'll be back after this short break. Don't go away. After all, this is the hot seat. And welcome back to the hot seat. In the last 3 minutes, we have Mr. Shamindra Ferdinando, the news editor of the Island newspaper. So, Mr. Ferdinando, there's always hope, because what's life without hope? And so, what should the people of Sri Lanka look forward to in 2017?
For us, I don't think the situation will improve. I must tell you, recently I saw State Minister Vijayakala Maheswaran addressing a gathering in Kilnochi, where she said that if Prabhakaran survived the war, if he lived, he would have been a better Prime Minister.
Right? He would have been a better Prime Minister, or
yeah.
he could have been a Prime Minister?
He could have been the Prime Minister,
yeah.
yes, sir, you're right. So, just imagine, so maybe this government needs US advice to change the system, Just imagine to hear a lady whose husband was assassinated by the LTT in 2008 January 1st she was killed in a Hindu Kovil in Kotena. For her to declare, make such a statement, something wrong with this system. What do you say?
What is wrong with the system?
I mean, how can you say the person who ordered her husband's assassination,
yeah.
if she is prepared to accept that killer as the Prime Minister of this country?
Perhaps, Shaminda, the answer to my question as to what should the people of Sri Lanka be looking forward to in 2017.
Nothing will change. This situation, I tell you, for us, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse because this government
yeah.
Faces two major issues this year. Number one, Geneva. Whatever the government says, there's going to be a hybrid court.
Right.
Because that was endorsed by Geneva in October 2015. It's still there, although our leaders say differently. So it's there. So that's an issue we have to address. This government will have to address. It's a huge issue. Number two, the central bank issue.
Yeah.
So they cannot put it off. They will have to face the people. So you will have the local government elections and elections to 3 provincial councils this year. So it's going to be an extremely tough year for the Yahapalana government, extremely tough year. And but they'll manage. They'll manage, and this government, I believe, will continue until 2020. And the joint opposition, they are totally disorganized. They believe by just having media conference on a daily basis, they can change things. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because I must tell you, because there's no big difference. All of them, all the joint opposition guys, I think almost all, except took those duty-free car permits.
Oh, I see.
So
it's back to that again.
Yeah, yeah. So you will realize they will discuss, they will fight over various issues. But when it comes to perks and privileges, members of the UNP, the SLFP, and other political parties, including the TNA, are together.
Shaminda Ferdinando, thank you very much for being in the hot seat. But before we leave, I think it's fair to say that it's not all doom and gloom, because the people, especially those forgotten people, those poor people and the suffering people spread around our country in largely rural areas, but not all in rural areas only, they have some hope, and that is the sight of young men and women in black t-shirts with a bright yellow logo, and it says Gammadda. And the arrival of the Gammadda team from Newsfirst, Shakti, TV1, when they get on there and when they reach those largely forgotten people, there is renewed hope for those people, because after all they realize that they haven't been forgotten, at least not by the Gammadda team. On that note, all good wishes for the new year, and we look forward to seeing you same time, same place, next Wednesday. Take care. Good night.